We are live. Hey, Mike, good to see you.
And you, Emily, how are you?
I am doing well. We are live on YouTube and LinkedIn. So, Quickly Hire YouTube's channel and Quickly Hire's LinkedIn page. So, please say hi if you're watching. I'm getting an echo. I'm not sure where that's coming from. I don't know where that's coming from. All right, I'm just going to try and ignore it and keep going.
Have you got the YouTube stream open in another
I
tab somewhere?
don't. No, I
No?
don't.
Weird.
Unless it's
Okay.
somewhere I'm not seeing it. Oh, I think I found it. All right. That's the problem when you have a million tabs open,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So there we go. Problem solved. Thanks, Mike. Welcome, everyone. I see we've got Chris Trudeau joining us. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining over on YouTube. It's great to have you. We are here for Remote Leadership Unleashed. This is a live video series with expert perspectives on hiring, managing, and scaling distributed teams. Can't wait to dig into it with Mike here. But first, I just want to say a couple words about Quickly Hire. So, Quickly Hire is the fastest way to add vetted freelancers to your team. At Quickly Hire, we understand the importance of assembling top tier talent for your business, whether you need developers, content marketers, designers, virtual assistants, PPC experts, SEO specialists. We've got you covered. We've got more roles being added almost weekly now, too. So, as we're having conversations and folks are asking for different roles, we're going out, we're vetting these people and bringing them into the network. And the Quickly Hire platform connects you with highly vetted freelancers who match your budget and requirements, ensuring you find the perfect fit for your team. So feel free to reach out if you'd like to learn more about Quickly Hire. Today, for Remote Leadership Unleashed, we have a very special guest joining us, Michael Killen. Mike, I have known for years, and he is a legend when it comes to running a tight ship, running a productive company with little overhead, and he's also figured out really what I view as the ideal work-life balance that I think any of us would envy. He has been able to do really incredible things because of how he manages his team of remote team members across the world. He just had a mandatory 2-week vacation that everyone on the team was required to take, I believe, simultaneously. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah. Everyone at the same time. That's right.
Yeah, can't wait to hear about that. He was also able to take off 3 months recently because of some health issues, which is incredible. And his business is running and generating revenue and being successful. So I can't wait to dig in here. So let's get started. Mike, anything else you want to add to that?
I feel like we should have checked this with my team first, depending when you were like, hey, the team runs really well. Mike's really good at
Yeah.
his job and he runs the company really well. We should have asked them first, like, how do you feel about that statement? And they might have said something else. But for the most part, if you want to sort of pick some of the objective stuff, yeah, we have a remote team. We work all across the world, and I am probably the least valuable member of my own company by design. Like I've
Yeah.
made myself the least valuable member.
And how long did it take you to get to this point? I mean, I imagine it was kind of the goal, right?
Mm.
And was it easy? Was it not easy?
No, it's not. I don't think it's easy. I think it's it's like it's a little bit like everyone wants like passive income, like money without doing the work. It's a little bit like when you start getting that stuff in, right? Like I don't know if anyone's ever done like extra work or even acting and stuff, you get like royalty checks. That's where it is now. But at the time, it can be extremely stressful. And we'll probably cover this stuff, but we've got a team of about 5 people and me, so 6 in total. And every single one of those people are rock stars. I'll do whatever I can to keep hold of them. But we've probably had 10 times that number go through the process that we've worked with, sometimes for a long time, that just haven't worked out. Some have left me, they didn't like my working style. We have like not renewed contracts with others, and we have actively fired others as well. So there are times when it's incredibly stressful, but when it works, there's no better feeling in the world. And it's a real privilege to be working with the team that I'm working with now. And they make running a company way more pleasurable than it was by itself. So yeah, it's not easy. It's also more of a slider. I think people think it's like I'll hire people, the business changes, and to me, it's not like that. It's a slider that slowly, you move over to where you want it to get to. But yeah, I think it was intentional to start with. It just took a while since I started the company. So when's that? 2017, something like that.
Yeah, that's incredible. I like the visualization of it being a slider though as well, because it's not so simple as turning off and on, right? Oh, I've got a team, sayonara, I'm out of here, run the
Yeah.
company kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think people either expect that or want that, and we pay, I feel, above average salaries and above average wages, and I've never been able to just go, "Cool, here it is." I've had people sell it to me or sell themselves as someone who can just do that, and to date, I have not had anyone do that. Um, it's what was there's cork trees, right? They take about 10 years to be able to harvest cork from, right? I want to say from Spain. It's like the
Yeah,
largest
my
exporter
yeah.
of cork in the world, right? Talking about Spain. We're now in the point where we're just about being able to harvest cork. It can take a year, 18 months to get someone up to speed. When people are like, "Oh, we'll get you up to speed in 30 days, 90 days." You can probably do up to like 60, 70%, but to have someone really knowing the company well enough to be able to run it without you managing and overseeing them, that takes over a year. So if you're willing to accept that hiring one person who could become just this phenomenal rock star, awesome team member, it could take 18 months for them to get into that role. But once they're there, it's unreal. They just, take off, and, you try to remove yourself, or I try to remove myself more and more from their work. So we're at that stage now, I think. Yeah.
Wonderful. So let's talk a little bit then about, you sort of touched on this, I feel like, motivating your team
Yeah.
members. And this, maybe it's different for remote team members. Obviously, you have different levers you can pull and things you can leverage, whether you're working in an office and can provide, team dinners and things like that, or whatever you want to do. But how do you motivate your team members to realize their full potential and become, what you visualize the team
Yeah.
being?
Yeah, I mean, well, like you and I were talking before this. What motivates you? Like, why would you, Emily, want to work for a company? Why do you work for Quickly Hire or continue to work for them?
Yeah, I would say for me it's the flexibility, it's the creative outlet. We're a small team and we like to get things done. I'm somebody that likes to have an impact. So I was given those opportunities early on and I keep getting them, and that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and that's pretty much 90% of it. Like, I think people overcomplicate motivation, and I think it's very easy to look at stuff like incentive packages, and that's fine, and it works, and it's super helpful. Being able to take the stress off. Like, we pay our team's insurance and a lot of medical bills, and it's more to do with, do they feel valued? That a lot of that stuff, like, they have if if they have 25 holidays a year, I don't think I've ever counted holidays once. And if someone took 3 months off because they were sick, I'd be like, "Well, we'll just keep paying you." And that's very common, particularly with our Filipino workers. They've said, "We're really sorry, and if you wanna look for somebody else." And that to me is terrifying, that someone would feel that if they couldn't work, that they would immediately be dismissed. And I'm like, 90 days is nothing. I've got like a 10, 15-year vision for the company. So if you need to take 90 days off to be sick or to look after your kid or whatever, uh, fine with me. Yes, some stuff isn't going to get done. We're very lucky. We don't produce oxygen or dialysis machines or life-saving medication. So, like, no one's going to die. So that's the big part of it. And what I've realized from that is, when people feel that, they're actually more inclined to be more loyal and stick around. But in terms of motivating, we just asked them. That's all I did, was ask them. In fact, we do have something called I don't think I call it, it's a team member user manual. And it's just a series of questions. And it says, like, what motivates you? How do we get the best from you? What do you think you're not great at? And it's kind of like an interview or a CV process after the fact. And again, I think what most people want is agency. They want autonomy. They want to be able to make decisions. They want permission. They don't want people micromanaging them. Um, do they feel they're having an impact in the company? Do they feel like you say, can they make creative decisions? And that's a huge, huge chunk of doing that. And the reason I think business owners are the reason I think people aren't motivated when they work for a business owner is because the business owner has way too much ego invested in the processes and they insist on micromanaging everything. And when you do that, you remove motivation from people. I'm sure we'll touch later, like how do we make sure people are at least aiming in the right direction. But yeah, just people want to do a good job, so let them, right?
Yeah, and I think that's not everybody wants creative freedom and autonomy,
No,
right? There are people that want to show up, give me a list of what to do, let me
100%.
crack it out and get out of here and get on with my day. Um, but if you're looking for the type of team members that can grow your business and run their own departments, right? And things like that, you do need to look for those kinds of qualities in folks, I would think.
Yeah, and even like we've got a couple of guys who just they want to clock in, do the hours, and leave. And they've been hired for specific roles, and they were pretty open about that when they said that. And I'm like, that's 100% fine. I would still argue that they still want the autonomy and agency to be able to do that how they see fit, right? How
Hmm.
they want to do it, manage their time. We've all had the manager who's looking over your shoulder and saying, "Oh, I wouldn't quite do it like this" or whatever. And we'll talk about I've got this, I feel, secret sauce behind why I'm able to let people just basically have free reign of their role. But a while back, in fact, this actually this goes back to something Brad actually coached me through a problem years back, right? This is when we had a way bigger team. And we kind of had this problem, and I was like, look, I don't know where to take the company, blah, 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 blah. And he said, ask them, are they willing to take responsibility and ownership for this task? That's all. And if people weren't, no matter what you do, they're not going to be doing good work, even if they just want to clock in and do the hours, which is absolutely fine. You're allowed to do that, right? But if they just want to clock in and not take ownership of the results or the outcome, that's a recipe for disaster. So even the guys who just want to come in, do the work, be the virtual assistant, pure virtual assistant, and then move on, which is absolutely fine with me. I still need to know that they are willing to take responsibility for an outcome, a specific outcome. Um, and I've only kept people on who are willing to take responsibility. I'm not asking them to put in stock or invest. They will still be paid a salary, but I need to at least know, are you going to do this and still at least care about these two little numbers or metrics or whatever? And that's been a huge change in how we've hired and who we've kept on. Does that
I
make
bet
sense?
that. Oh, absolutely. I think that's a great tip for folks to take away from this. If only that, ask your team, are you willing to take responsibility for this? This is your accountability. You're going to report on these numbers, and when they're down, you have to report that. When they're up, we'll all celebrate it, and when they're down, we'll help come up with a solution to fix it too. But
This is you've hit the nail on the head. So and this is how, so the first thing I think about even when I'm beginning to hire is what is ultimately the outcome that I'm expecting from this role. If I was to log into a dashboard or a report, I need to be able to point to a number that is either going to go up or down over a certain period of time. And the autonomy and the agency, and yes, we have processes, we have SOPs, we have documentation, we've got all of that. A really good example of this was financial reporting. I have a daily, a weekly, and monthly and quarterly reports coming through. And who we hired, Jar, who now basically runs our entire finance and admin department, she said, Mike, there's a lot of these reports you're doing that we're doubling up stuff. I could do all of this with Zapier and it wouldn't take 2 hours a week. It would take like 20 minutes and it's all automated. But it's because the outcome was, does Mike have a really clear report every single day
right,
about where the money is? So all of a sudden, the process or the task is irrelevant. And it's irrelevant to me creating something that evidently was very clunky and outdated. She was like, I can actually make this easier and faster and less work and more accurate. Great, let's send it over. Having, if you ask someone, would you like to take ownership over this task? And they say no, in my opinion, that's just a recipe for disaster and they're never going to care. None of us, at least if I don't think any of us are running businesses with over 1,000 employees. those types of companies can afford to bring people in who are just going to clock in, clock out, do the work, move on, and have zero care. But even then, they will still be measured against, like, when the customer has a conversation with you, are you at least courteous and polite and able to hold a conversation with them? That's the bare minimum we're asking. Are you able to take responsibility for that? No. Well, then you're probably not a good fit for us. And so I don't think it's asking too much. In my experience, the people who have said they want to take responsibility for a task have just picked it up, run with it, and we've never looked back, even though it might have cost us a little bit more in the long run.
Yeah, I love that. Let's talk a little bit about what when you're hiring, when you're interviewing folks, when you're trying to decide if they are the right member for your team. What qualities do you look for? Do you have a question you ask prior to them being on the team that cues you in on this is the right person, or I think this might
Yeah.
be the right person, or no, this is not the right person.
I, so I don't think I do have a question. I have questions that I ask, like, one of the first thing we do actually is whenever we post a job, inside the job posting, I'll always say something like, make sure you reply to this post with your favorite food in the subject line. Something like that that catches out spam and bots and people who won't. I love when I get people who say, I've got a great attention to detail, but they've missed the one thing I've asked you to do one thing. That's it. I've told you all about the job and I've asked you to do one thing and you haven't done that. I ask things like internally, like, would I want to have a drink or a coffee with this person? Would I trust this person with my dog? But like I said, statistically, I've been wrong something like 9 times out of 10. And we have a long qualification process. We have I think, a very long interview process. It's mainly via email and whatever, like calls. We have a few tasks, but like I said, 9 times out of 10, it's been a bad fit, which is why I feel a 1 week, 1 month, 3 month probationary period where they're fully paid, of course, for the whole time. And we make it very clear, like, this is not a full-time role yet. And neither is it a full-time hire for us. If you want to just
Mhm.
up and leave during that period, that's 100% up to you. And we have had people leave. So I feel it's more important to be able to uncomfortably fire someone, which is tough and horrible, and I've never liked it. But I wish I did have some magic question, that'd be like weed out the people who I think are going to take advantage. But so I haven't come across one. Do you have one? Do you have anything that you suggest to people?
I mean, we have a few. We do so many interviews, right? When we bring folks into the Quickly Hire
Mhm,
Network, and
mhm.
that's a huge part of it are the video interviews. So we definitely
Yeah,
have red flags, and when there are too many of those red flags, we just say no, because it's happened every time. Every time we
yeah,
ignore them and say, oh, but the skills are there, and look at their experience and their references, it's all so great, but they showed up late to the video call.
okay,
They
yeah,
we told them it would be a video call and they didn't have their video on. This was a little fishy, things like that, right? Or they just
yeah,
seemed kind of rude in their emails and took time to, they didn't respond promptly. All of those things, when you're in the process of interviewing for a job,
yeah,
you have certain expectations. And when you get these feelings and hunches, and when you then identify those hunches and feelings and put them down as red flags that you're
mm,
looking for, right?
yeah,
When you can identify what felt off about that person, and why did it not end up being a good fit for the team or for the network. It's identifying those and then looking for those in future candidates, right? So a
yeah.
lot of people can say, it just didn't feel right. But when you try to drill down and say,
Huh?
what were the things that happened? What were the instances when you said, ooh, that was something was off
Mm,
there?
yeah.
Trying to identify what the specific action, or phrase or whatever it is was, and then looking for those in the future is really, really helpful.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's interesting where you phrase the question then. So here's me having a go at your interview
Yep.
technique.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's true. It's true. I took it a little bit somewhere
So
else.
it's what question is there? I must the list of red flags is like 2 pages long.
Hmm.
Exactly the same as yours. I know when someone isn't going to be a good hire. I'm super clear on that. like you say, turning up late to a Zoom call, I have a zero tolerance policy for that. Everyone knows what Zoom is. Even if you were born 90 years ago, you know how a telephone works. So you understand the vague concept that we're going to call you at 5 p.m., set an alarm for 4:55, sit yourself down, get ready. I understand it happens. But what's interesting to me is the people who an actual emergency takes place, and we've had that. We've had people have sudden bereavements, right? I've received a text or a WhatsApp. There must be 1,000 ways to get in contact with me. Really sorry, Mike. Emergency, can't make the interview. Not turning up, absolute red flag. I'm like, fine, I've got plenty of people to go for. I just I don't think there's something that tells you you're going to be a good candidate. That's kind of the problem. It's a bit of a paradox like that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. The good candidate markers are harder to identify,
Yeah.
aren't they?
And we've
Yeah.
had people, yeah, I would even argue I was this person when I worked for corporate who interview very well. And within days or weeks, I've thought, this is not good. I know this isn't going to, I don't want to work with this person for the next 12 months. So
Yeah.
just cut it, deal with it, move on.
Yep, it's true. It's definitely true. All right, we're at 20 minutes, but I want to get to a couple more questions. One, we can go with this one, and then we'll see if we have time for one more. But I want to hear about. We've talked about this and touched on it a little bit. How do you know when it's time to let someone go? When you've hired them, whether it's in that probationary period or maybe it's later on, but it's not the right fit. It's not
Yeah.
working out. How do you determine that? And then, what's your process for that when it's a remote team, right? It can be a little trickier
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah. So the first thing is, I won't even think about hiring someone until I'm extremely clear on a very specific outcome. And that would be, how would they know that they're being successful in the job if I wasn't there to judge them? Case in point, we hired a thumbnail designer recently, and I was like, what I want is 2 finished thumbnails per video for us to go live. I want a click through rate roughly of 10%. And I would like you to come up with regular ideas and bring them to the table every Thursday or Friday for me to review. Those are the 3 core things. I think those are things that people can check off on a checklist. And when someone comes on board, we go over that and we say, do you think that's realistic? I know in my mind, they'll probably take 6 months to a year to get there. And so I think, and everyone's like, oh, I can do that 100%. I can do that within a week. I'm like, all right, I know you can't, but thank you for your enthusiasm. Just knowing those numbers, and this is from sales, lead generation, marketing, admin, finance, editing, the creative process. If you can't pinpoint a specific number you want to see go up or down within a time frame, it's going to be a disaster anyway. We've had people who have missed those marks who have repeatedly said, this is how I'm going to fix it. I've had other people who have missed those marks who have made excuses. In my experience, 10 times out of 10, the people who have made excuses are the ones where I'm like, I don't think this is working out. I make it my fault. I'll book a call with them. It'll be 9:01 on the morning where I've just decided to do it. They say, oh, I've only got 5 minutes. I say, don't worry, this won't take too long. Um, I feel I've made the wrong decision in hiring you. I'm really sorry for that. So we're going to let you go. We'll pay you obviously up until for the rest of the week or whatever. Um, just wanted to apologize. I'm sorry for wasting your time. If you need a reference, that's absolutely fine. And then they usually go, oh, okay. And then we just hang up and move on. I've had a few people text me afterwards and I've just ignored it. I've just left it. Um, but yeah, I've made it my fault. And that usually works. But no one likes it. No one likes having it done to them. No one likes doing it. It's just a case of just rip the band-aid off as quickly as you can. But help people get over it really.
I like that, and I think making it your fault doesn't give them a lot of space to combat it, right? To
Yeah, and the
give
thing
them.
is, I also I don't want people going, "Oh, no, but I can figure this out." I'm like, look, because we have a check-in in the morning and the evening. We have regular Zoom calls. I'm a big believer in having a call with them every day for the first 6 weeks up to that point, where I'm checking in with them about the numbers. What are you doing? This is the objective marker I want you to hit, a click-through rate of 10% or 2 thumbnails a week or whatever it might be. That's not the problem, right? The problem is training, skill set. We can fix that. That's fine. It's attitude towards the problem. That's what I've noticed. And yeah, go with your gut. A lot of the time, go with your gut. You know what you're looking for. Um, and yeah, if it's time to let them go, just do it there and then. Don't drag it out.
Yeah. All right, let's switch gears for this last question. It's not one of the typical questions in these interviews, but I want to hear it. First off, do you know how, and if you do, can you share it with us, how you are able to have a mandatory 2-week vacation for your team all simultaneously, how you're
Yeah.
able to take 3 months off. You had taken a long leave of absence prior to that as well. How are
Mhm.
you able to do that with a remote team and running a business with so much content production and all of that going on?
Yeah. So it all boils down to what is the one core role of me, Mike Killen, and my role is just to write and shoot videos. That's it. Anytime I do something that's not that, it goes on a list called the stop list. If I answer an email, process a refund, upload a video, design a thumbnail, it all goes on the stop list. Those basically become um, job tasks for the next person we hire. So if I already know who I'm going to hire next because it's all the stuff that I shouldn't be doing. Taking 2 weeks off is tough. We have a lot of our products and sales built around other external teams in delivery, affiliate marketing, sponsorships, AdSense, other products that we've front loaded the work on. I also knew there'd be a bit of a revenue dip, but 2 weeks off was really important. Counterintuitively, I felt the team wasn't taking enough time off, and I could start to see people's creativity waning a little bit. And I was like, let's all get some perspective, take 2 weeks off, come back. Sure enough, we only came back last week. Everyone's got fresh eyes on it. I'm able to take time off because I only have one job in the company. There are so many other things that need to get done from that stop list that they take care of. When it comes to things like content production, we've got tons of content. Our editor can easily download a few bits and pieces, bundle something together, push it out. That's what we did. We did a compilation video. We did a video that I think I wasn't planning on releasing, but she said, yeah, this will be fine. We batched a lot of stuff so that and scheduled it, to go out. But the 2 week break was also designed to see what breaks, what doesn't work, what do we need to fix? And we've come back and we've realized there's a couple of things that are like business critical. But if you look at what we do, everyone knows what I do. Everyone knows what they do. Everyone took 2 weeks off. We just scheduled a bunch of content. We knew that the work was going to get delivered. We also told I don't know why this is considered so revolutionary. We told our clients we need to take some time off. And they were like, yeah, no worries. That's absolutely fine. Okay, great. So no work will get done during that time. Not that we have clients, but when we have done this in the past and they've gone, yeah, that's absolutely fine. Everyone deserves some time off. I'm like, all right, great. See you later. I'm able to take time off because so much of the work is done by other people. But like I said, I wasn't being facetious. I'm literally the least valuable member of the team. Um, and I think it's important that the business owner understands that the business owner understands that actually their job is to get out of the processes as quickly as possible. They're just slowing people down. Um, and if you let them, people will do good work if you just kind of let them get on with it with some clear objectives. That
I
was
think
a
that's
lot of all over the place,
No,
but yeah.
I think that's wonderful advice. Yeah, get out of the way. Hire the like if we're drilling it down here or boiling it down to the essence of this conversation, it's getting the right people on the team that take accountability, take responsibility, that thrive with that
Yeah.
kind of thing, and then let them go, right?
Yeah.
And give them the goals and let them tackle them.
100. Is it Spain? Do you remember have you seen the meme where the woman tried to paint over the painting of Jesus and
Yes,
it's like
yes,
potato Jesus?
yes.
Don't hire 100 people who will paint potato Jesus. Hire one person who's going to paint the Sistine Chapel, and it's incredible. Like I think a lot of people think I need loads of people. You don't. If you hire just one killer, awesome rock star person who you can rely on for a big chunk of the process, so much of your life is made easier. So I'd rather spend time training and hiring and overly investing on the front end someone who's going to, a Michelangelo who's going to paint a Sistine Chapel rather than someone who's going to paint like 100 of those like caricatures that you get on the side of like Paris and Barcelona and stuff.
Oh, it's bad. Yeah, people should check that out if they haven't.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your expertise. You're really the perfect person for this interview series. I'm so glad we were able to get you on, and I'm so glad you're on when you're refreshed from a 2 week hiatus vacation.
I don't know if I was 2 week break. I just spent the entire time landscaping and gardening, so I was
So you were working,
exhausted.
yeah.
Yeah, I just chose a different. I went to manual labor instead, which is I
Yeah,
don't
of
know. I don't
course.
know why I understood that, but yeah, it was good. Everyone came back. Yeah, I was very happy with the result.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your
Thank
time
you for having
today.
me.
Thank you, everyone who joined in live. And if you're watching the recording, thank you so much. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're here, and we will see you at the next one. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.